What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy, and welcome back to our Bible study. Alright, so here we are, back with some more Bible reading. Covering Exodus chapter 13 this time, and chapter 12. The people finally got to leave Egypt. The final plague came, killed all the firstborn children of the Egyptians, but not the Israelites, because God gave them a command to put lamb's blood on the doorposts to let the death angel thing know to pass by them. And that's why they have a thing called Passover, and there were, kind of rules for celebrating and remembering that and how it's supposed to go that then carried over for future generations. But anyway, then the people got to leave Egypt. So, then we get to chapter 13 here. So yeah, here we go. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Dedicate to me every firstborn among the Israelites. The first offspring to be born of both humans and animals belongs to me." So Moses said to the people, "This is a day to remember forever, the day you left Egypt, the place of your slavery. Today the Lord has brought you out by the power of his mighty hand. Remember, eat no food containing yeast. On this day in early spring, in the month of Abib, you have been set free. You must celebrate this event in this month each year after the Lord brings you into the land of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Hivites, Jebusites. Oh, and Jebusites. Sorry, I missed the "and" there. He swore to your ancestors that he would give you this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. For 7 days, the bread you eat must be made without yeast. Then on the seventh day, celebrate a feast to the Lord. Eat bread without yeast during those 7 days. In fact, there must be no yeast bread or any yeast at all found within the borders of your land during this time." Okay, so Abib or Abib, Hebrew, on this day in the month, this day. Oh, I guess it leaves out the whole "in early spring" part. That's probably more so a later addition to the text for the sake of, future readers, aka us, to kind of understand roughly when in the year that it happens. The first month of the ancient Hebrew lunar calendar usually occurs within the months of March and April. Okay, so that's kind of the footnote letting us know, A, why it says early spring, how they came to that conclusion, and B, what the original Hebrew says, that it leaves out the whole early spring part. Anyway, so the people have left Egypt, they're freed from their slavery, and they celebrate. And they have yet to arrive in the Promised Land because they've only just left Egypt. But, Moses is telling them once they get there, they are to celebrate this feast as a continual reminder of what God did for them to deliver them from Egypt. Anyway, verse 8. "On the seventh day you must explain to your children, I am celebrating what the Lord did for me when I left Egypt. This annual festival will be a visible sign to you, like a mark branded on your hand or your forehead. Let it remind you always to recite this teaching of the Lord. With a strong hand the Lord rescued you from Egypt. So observe the decree of this festival at the appointed time each year." So I assume it's saying on the seventh day of the festival. Anyway, footnote here, or let it remind you always to keep the instructions of the Lord on the tip of your tongue, because with a strong hand the Lord rescued you from Egypt. Okay. just a slight difference in the phrasing there, but it's essentially saying the same thing. I guess reading it that way almost seems more like, it's a reminder to keep the festival and, the way that it's supposed to be celebrated because God delivered them, rather than it sounding like, this whole phrase, with a strong hand the Lord rescued you from Egypt, is like some specific teaching of God directly to them that they are supposed to recite and memorize. But either way, they're supposed to remember how God delivered them. Anyway, verse 11. This is what you must do when the Lord fulfills the promise he swore to you and to your ancestors. When he gives you the land where the Canaanites now live, you must present all firstborn sons and firstborn male animals to the Lord, for they belong to him. A firstborn donkey may be bought back from the Lord by presenting a lamb or young goat in its place. But if you do not buy it back, you must break its neck. However, you must buy back every firstborn son. So, when it talks about, I think it'll get into this a little bit more later on. Maybe not in this chapter, but later in the Bible. But it makes it sound like these are being given to God in the same way, but I don't know if that really is quite the case. Because, the animals, generally speaking, I think are more, meant as a sacrifice kind of thing. Presenting firstborn sons, I think, winds up being more of if they don't buy back the firstborn son, then they're essentially giving the child up to directly serving God. We'll find out later that some families, gave children up for service in the temple that was eventually built. So, maybe that kind of thing is what it means by presenting the firstborn sons. I would not think that's for sacrifice. God is not generally, other than the slight exception of that one little moment with Abraham where he was kind of testing him, God generally does not like or require human sacrifice. So this would be completely counterintuitive if that's what was meant here. Anyway, okay. Moving on, verse 14. And in the future your children will ask you, what does all this mean? Then you will tell them, with the power of his mighty hand, the Lord brought us out of Egypt, the place of our slavery. Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let us go, so the Lord killed all the firstborn males throughout the land of Egypt, both people and animals. That is why I now sacrifice all the firstborn males to the Lord, except that the firstborn sons are always bought back. This ceremony will be like a mark branded on your hand or your forehead. It is a reminder that the power of the Lord's mighty hand brought us out of Egypt. Okay, so again, saying sacrifice there sounds, more like killing, but must buy back every firstborn son, all this stuff, I don't know, it's worded in a way that seems a little odd and confusing to me, but I don't know. The animal sacrifices, killing them as some sort of offering or something like that, makes sense to me, but the whole, like, I get the notion that, it's related to, what God saved them from in Egypt, that God did not kill their firstborn sons and the first of their livestock there. But, now, I guess this whole offering thing that's being talked about here is meant as a reminder of that. But also, like, the whole buying back thing, I don't quite get how that works or why that's really kind of necessary in the first place. I don't know. But in any case, this is the practice that was developed to remind them of the death plague, essentially, in Egypt, and the fact that they were delivered from it. Anyway, verse 17. When Pharaoh finally let the people go, God did not lead them along the main road that runs through Philistine territory, even though that was the shortest route to the promised land. God said, if the people are faced with a battle, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So God led them in a roundabout way through the wilderness toward the Red Sea. Thus the Israelites left Egypt like an army ready for battle. Hebrew for Red Sea just reads Sea of Reeds. Greek version for that last phrase reads, left Egypt in the 5th generation. That completely does not sound at all similar to like an army ready for battle. Although in the 5th generation, maybe timing-wise, would have been like the 5th generation from when they entered Egypt might have been the timing of when they left. Which, I mean, that makes sense to mention, sure. But I don't know. If the Greek version reads like that, then are they reading the whole like an army ready for battle thing from the Hebrew or what? I'm not quite sure. But anyway, I'll just move along because I'm not 100% sure how to read that and what to make of it. But, I will say, though, leading them in a roundabout way, I mean, so if they left like an army ready for battle, but God's leading them away from battle, like, I don't, like, why do they need to leave like an army ready for battle if God's leading them away from, whatever. Anyway, verse 19. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the sons of Israel swear to do this. He said, God will certainly come to help you, and when he does, you must take my bones with you from this place. I recall something of that nature being said, so yeah, truth. Verse 20. The Israelites left Succoth and camped at Etham on the edge of the wilderness. The Lord went ahead of them. He guided them during the day with a pillar of cloud, and he provided light at night with a pillar of fire. This allowed them to travel by day or by night. And the Lord did not remove the pillar of cloud or pillar of fire from its place in front of the people. So, this is just kind of saying how they knew where to go. God had this pillar going before them, kind of leading the way. Since they weren't going kind of the more direct route, as mentioned earlier. Because if they went the direct route, it would have been through Philistine territory. Philistines probably would have wanted to fight them. And anyway. So God decided to lead them this way instead. And since it was less direct, God has the pillar going in front of them to kind of show them the way. So anyway, I will say though, well, the whole ready for battle thing might, maybe they were prepared to go through somewhere that they would have had to fight anyway, since maybe that was unfamiliar territory, and or they figured they might eventually run into another group of people that would not like them, would not like so many of them, especially just traipsing on through. So, maybe that's why they would have been like an army ready for battle. I don't know. But at the very least, that probably would have helped, expedite their travel a little bit. Like, if they were ready to essentially drop what they had at any moment and, have to fight. Anyway, I guess that does it for Exodus chapter 13. Okay, so that's going to do it for this time around. So basically just got some information on what the people did after leaving Egypt and how they left and where and that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's Exodus 13 for you. As always, like the video if you enjoyed it, share it with others if you want them to see, subscribe to my channel to see more of my videos, and click that notification bell to get updates when I post new ones. You can also look down in the description for info on other social media pages and how to find and follow those and interact and all that good stuff. And of course, leave comments down below with any thoughts that you have. So yeah, that's going to do it for now. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I'll see you for the next one. But until then, stay cool, people.